I grew up religious. My parents were very religious. They still are. And I very quickly got to a place in like middle school where I was like, I'm not into this anymore. I didn't deconstruct my way out of it. I didn't think my way out of it and be like, having thought about this, making a logical decision. I just abandoned it, essentially because I thought it was lame. But a very small Christian school. I graduated with 3 people in the eighth. Like when I graduated 8th grade, there's 3 other people in my grade. So I thought it was lame. And I suppose the deconstruction came afterwards. It wasn't until when I was in my mid 20s when I found myself just being like, was a philosophical nihilist. Not that I identified that. I was never like, oh, I'm a nihilist. But I found myself really, like, I didn't believe in anything. And I was like, I think life is pointless. And I kind of started acting like it. And it wasn't fun. I got to a place where it's not good to be engaged in something that you think is just pointless, has no value. And, essentially I got my way out of it, or it wasn't all me, but I'm not there anymore. And one of the ways I make decisions now is to try and avoid that pit. It's like there's been like a black hole that I've discovered. I went down the wrong path, and I know what happens when you go down the wrong path. Like believing that what you do doesn't matter. Life is pointless. I try to avoid getting back there, and because you can fall into these things, I believe. Like, if you're just not paying attention, you start doing things that you don't really care about. And then all of a sudden, like, you're just living a life that you don't care about. You're just doing things that you don't care about. So you're living a life where you don't care. And, and so I figured out what not to do. I didn't necessarily figure out what to do, but I figured out what not to do. And now moving forward, I always try and like think about like what excites me the most, like what is the most meaningful, and that eventually got to a place of essentially, and I'm not going to go all into it now, but it's like, what does God want me to do? And I quickly to make it as practical as possible. It's like, what is the best way for me to live my life? That's pretty much the same thing, and I felt that when you are in a position where you think that life is meaningless, or you don't know what to do, you don't know which direction to go, just do anything that you think is the right thing to do. Just take the smallest next right step, even if it's just, or 3 push-ups, or go for a walk. Because sometimes it is just that, if that's all you can do, that's all you can do. And if that is all you can do, then you should do it. And because if you keep going, you will figure more things out, because there's plenty of information out there. And you have to garner your own experience. But figuring out what not to do is probably more important than figuring out what to do. So I'd recommend that, figuring out what you don't want to do.